Are we live? 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 How's everybody doing? Are we live? Is everyone in here? How's everyone doing today? We are live. What's going on? It's Giants game day. I just got a text from Danny King because I asked him, like, hey, you jumping on this? Because I sent him the link earlier. And he said, forgot about that. I can't. I got a meeting for my school paper I got. So he's got a meeting for his school paper. And Justin is obviously at the tailgate. So I'll be here to get you guys ready for the game. Starting to get more excited. It's felt truly like a bye week, right? We played on Thursday night football and then the Monday night football. So it's been like an 11-day gap since since the Giants' last game. So got to get back into the swing of it, and it came early in the season too, which kind of gets you a little off base, but I'm excited to get into it. This is a very winnable game for the Giants. This is not even like a. So here's like a conversation I'm having in my head: is this feels like a game the Giants just have to win, right? But if the Giants do lose this game, like I don't think all hope is lost, depending on how it looks. Obviously, like if the Giants lose 30-28. Like, I guess the defensive issues, yeah. So they need to win this game. I think is where you keep coming back to it, right? Because it's not like the season's not impossibly over. If they lose this game, because the schedule does get easy after the Bills and the Bills and the Dolphins. And the hope was to kind of be at the optimistic hope was to be at 3-3 through the first 6 games. But right now, I think 2-4, most people would take it, even though no matter what happens, if they lose to the Bills and Dolphins, there will be panic among the fan base. And that's just reality, even if they say right now that they won it. So we'll get into it. I want to answer some of your questions. We'll get you ready for the next 30 minutes. Hashtag promote Danny King. Kind of did promote Danny King. So we were talking about, because I don't know if you guys are familiar, we had this guy Hoodie Glaber who worked for John Boy Media. He's not working anymore. He was doing a lot of like social media stuff for us, just basically making graphics, but like making the clips from the show. And they're like, well, can Danny King do this? I was like, Danny King's not paid by the company. I pay him a little out of pocket, but Danny King's not paid by the John Boy Media company. He does it for the love of the game. And me and Danny actually have a Simple Man Radio podcast coming out talking about the first year Talking Giants on this channel that I'm putting in the chat. So make sure to go subscribe to that. All right, let's get into the talk about this game. This is a game for the Giants where offensively they have to perform. Now, the biggest difference from the preview pod to now is Andrew Thomas is out, right? And at that time of recording, because it's a Monday Night Football game, injury report came out a day later. Thomas was limited the first day, right? And he was a game time decision versus the Cardinals. You thought for sure he'd be playing. But he missed the next 2 practices, out for this game. First of all, I just want to say I'm very frustrated. I love watching Andrew Thomas play football. He's the best player on the Giants offense, and we don't get to watch him, right? And there's obviously going to be a conversation like, well, this guy's left. I don't care. Andrew Thomas is such an advantage to have on your team, and that's why the Giants paid him that money, and nobody in the NFL blinked. Nobody in the NFL blinked on this guy getting the second biggest left tackle contract and the most guaranteed money in a left tackle contract. So guess what? Losing him hurts the team, right? Against a team like the Seahawks, it shouldn't make it to where you can't possibly get through it, but it hurts the team to not have him out there. He is a huge fucking advantage. What he allows you to do as a quarterback, where you just – and he's so much more valuable specifically on the Giants, right? Because there's a lot of like bad on this offensive line. There has been for a while, right? But at least if you had your blind side locked down, that gives confidence to a quarterback, right? Like in the Seahawks are a team that's not getting a bunch of sacks, but I think they do generate some more pressure than people are giving them credit for. They're just not finishing. If Thomas is out there, though, it's like, okay, you got that front side pressure, just hang in there. You know Thomas has got you taken care of, push the ball down the field. Without Thomas, it's just – and Chenna Nwosu, like, he might get a couple sacks, right? It's just hard to trust. Josh Azudu, who got dominated by the 49ers, obviously played halfway decent versus the Cardinals. But the Cardinals, to me, have a deep – like the as far as like pass rush in the NFL, it's like, hey, 49ers, Cowboys, whatever, Seahawks, and then down here where you can't see on screen is the Cardinals. Like that pass rush is really bad. The whole 6 sack number was a lie. So it's just losing him sucks, right? The confidence you can have as a quarterback with your blind side protected is different, and just a guy who essentially never had to be worried about, never had to worry about that blind side. So hopefully we get him back next week. So yeah, so it hurts. Now again, this is a game where you gotta be able to put points up on offense versus this Seahawks team. You just have to, right? And then the question is what can the Giants defense hold this Seahawks offense to? Can they hold them to 20 points? Because if you hold them to 20 points, I think you can win. I really do. But if you can't hold them to, if you hold them to 28 or 31 or 34, this might be an L for the Giants. And then offensively, I feel like the goal has to be to put up like 27 or more points. Let's see. What do we got? Ben Bredesen will help out a lot, though. Yeah, he should help a good amount. That definitely should help, especially against Jarran Reed, I'm excited for JMS versus Jarran Reed, who's been a good defensive tackle for the Seahawks. A little older guy. The worry is that he can putter out down the stretch, and we actually played him with the Packers last year, but he's been good for them. Deal X or Barkley at the deadline if we don't win. No, I don't. I'm not in that mode yet. I'm losing this game unless somebody offers you like some real value, but like just dumping these guys, no. How bad is DK Metcalf going to kill us? Thank you, Danny King, super fan, for the comment. That is the guy I'm most worried about on the Seahawks offense. Now Lockett did, like, it was one of the couple games that Adore ended up losing his one-on-one battles was against Tyler Lockett, but he had some wins in there too. But Lockett had the touchdown. He also had a touchdown that Lockett also had a touchdown that he dropped. DK is the one that worries me though, because that's who Geno trusts when he's getting the blitz, right? When he's in man coverage. And I don't is Trey Hawkins or like Deontay Banks going to be able to win at the catch point versus DK Metcalf, even if they have good coverage? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. So DK Metcalf, Danny King, super fan, is the guy I'm the most worried about on the Seahawks. I think on both sides of the ball, to be honest. What do we got? Mike Kafka on the hot seat if the offense sucks again. No, I don't think so. That's what happens when you can't run a functional offense, Omega Supreme. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying there, Do a Bear Roll. But if you explain it, I will talk about it. Adore not having a good year so far, which again, I don't know if it's how much of it is him playing the slot or what, but yeah, I agree. He has not been he's not been the Adore that we saw these last 2 years for the Giants. There's a guy named Omega Supreme who said we need more time possession. Oh, okay. Okay. Let's see, what do we got? A lot of ums when I'm solo. A lot of and I'm delaying my favorite game that everyone hates is guess the inactives. Jay Love. Oh yeah, Julian Love revenge game for him. He's not been great for them, but I think he might be playing nickel corner this week because both their nickel corners are injured. And the nickel corner is a big part of their run defense too. Both their nickel corners are injured, and you're getting, but Jamal Adams might be it as like their big nickel, but the Seahawks reporters asked him about it. He's like, he's been around there, so I could see Julian Love being their nickel corner. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see how the Seahawks play the Giants offense, right? Like they shouldn't have the confidence in their pass rush to play the way the 49ers did. How do they play them? If this offense sucks, then what are we talking about here? I like DJ, but you got your contract so you can see we see something special and above average. Yeah, if the offense sucks, it's not good. Thank you, though. Put Adore on DK or leave corners where they are. See, this is these games like these are why I wasn't a fan of putting Adore in the slot anyways. Like, just let Adore play outside corner. We don't need him to be covering, like, being a huge run defender in the nickel corner. Like, I'm sorry that Cordell Flott didn't work out, but don't put Adore in the slot. I hope Adore, they move him back to outside. Move him back to outside. They run a bunch of 12 personnel anyways. Move him fucking back to outside. We don't need to force Trey Hawkins into the lineup quite yet. And if we got to live with freaking Darnay Holmes because Cordell Flott didn't work out, then so be it. At least he could be a good run defender and play some zone stuff. Number one in yards per catch, least amount of yards per catch in zone coverage was like bottom of the league at versus man. Obviously, we know we want to play man, but I don't want Holmes playing in the slot anymore, or not Holmes, Adore. Bobby, why does our offense play scared? I don't know if that's necessarily true. Let's see. Oh, here's a good question. Miles Handler-Voss. I don't understand why people are losing their heads over this record. Like, if you had asked any Giants fan before the season started, we start 2-1. I think he meant 1-2. So there's two sides of that. I kind of agree where my expectations have not changed. Like, they've changed a little, but they haven't changed drastically for the Giants. Now, this game could change them, right? If they really, especially if they struggle on offense. Defensively, we'll see. But at the same time, you didn't expect to get blown out by the Cowboys and 49ers the way you did. The 49ers, I guess they hung tough a little bit, but the Cowboys game, but that game also got out of control. So I somewhat agree, but I think this is the game. This is the game that tells the story of the Giants season, right? This is the game that tells you, okay, they can win these types of games because they won games like this last year, right? They beat the Ravens, they beat the Packers, they beat the Jags. They beat, I know the Packers didn't make the playoffs team, but they were halfway decent with, they had a guy named Aaron Rodgers before Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and they were 3-1. So we'll see. Can we switch up the defense from a 3-4 to a 4-3 to help the run game? Who needs a bigger game tonight, Waller or Hyatt? Yeah, I don't see that happening in season. Who needs a bigger game? I think Waller needs a bigger game. I think this could be a big game for both these guys. Like, they give up their coverages, like they have a good amount of busted coverage, and I know Tariq Woolen's back, but I still think you got to test them though, and especially when you get in like three guys on one side of the field, which the flood zones and stuff. I think that's where they can give up stuff, and hey, it might even be quick game, right? Because they're covering Waller and Hyatt, and you're getting stuff in the quick game, the Wandale or Slayton or whoever. Not even quick game, just short passes that get left open because they're covering the deep part of the field. But I think this could be a big game for both of them. What do we got? I saw Doug Analytics. Expectations for Wandale. Does he eat into Campbell snaps? Yeah, I definitely think he eats into Campbell snaps. I mean, he started eating into him versus the 49ers first game back. And I think they really want to – I mean, they really like him. So, yes, I expect Wandale to play. And there's a reason. I mean, they didn't put him on PUP for a reason. Could X keep up with DK and Man? No, he cannot. Thank you for asking, though. Could this be Waller's break? Darren Waller's break? Yeah, if they target him a lot and make it like a focal point, absolutely. And I also, we're saying like breakout game. Like, after 2 weeks of the season, Darren Waller was leading all tight ends in the NFL in receiving yards. And I think he's still like now after this game, but he was 5 after week 3, and then we'll see in total week 4. But Darren Waller, I think, has been pretty solid. He just hasn't created. He's created only one 20+ yard play, but again, that's more. That's a lot more than they did last year. Are you shocked Bellinger hasn't been more involved? Yes, I know we have a surplus. No, I think he's been more involved than people realize. He just hasn't been involved in the receiving game. Like, he's gotten a good amount of snaps. I could pull it up right now and look it up. He's been used as their like fullback. He's just not. And again, when he was the starting tight end, he was 40th of 42 tight ends in yards per route run. Like, he did not get yards. Let's see what a snap share is for the season. Week 1, he got 63%, week 2, 41%, week 3, 60%. So I think he's getting involved a lot. It's just he's not involved in the receiving game very often. But that's a good question. But he's just not going to be a receiving threat when he's not your starting tight end. Oh, I saw a funny one. Where is it? I'm sorry, but Bobby needs to show more alpha behavior. How about I beat the shit out of you? How about I can't, YouTube will get me in trouble, but how about I come out there and beat the fuck out of you? That alpha enough for you, bro? So, no, I love you. That's alpha. It's alpha to say I love you, NYG Nation. But this is actually good because I've kind of tuned out social. I look at mentions and stuff, but I'm not like looking at social media a ton. Do you guys think the Giants are going to win today? Because I actually do. I think this offense, like I've been kind of keeping quiet. Like they had the great second half versus Cardinals, but I still like when I say my expectations haven't changed. Like I still expect this offense to be fun to watch. I really do. And that I expected, if I want to get out, I expect the Giants to win this game, and I expect the offense to look good, and I expect to come out of this and be like Daniel Jones, 1-6, look really good in national media to be giving him some shine because he won the game on prime time. DJ in the past has been either like really bad games like the Bucs Monday Night Football games, or the most frustrating of ones where it's like DJ played sick, but the fucking rest of the team let him down. Like last year's Monday Night Football versus the Cowboys. You think of the Commanders Thursday Night Football game, the Eagles Thursday Night Football game. And I think there's a couple others in there. But do you guys think the Giants are going to win? Because I actually do think they're going to win this game. If the O-line holds up, we win. Simple. I just need them to not totally demolish from the beginning of the snap, right? That's all I'm asking for. DJ Davidson versus Jordan Riley. Okay, let's do. All right, Chase Zero. My man said, see, I got a lot of nopes in the chats. I do think they're winning today. Let's play Guess the Inactives. So, you know what I'm going to make? I'm going to make a freaking banner for this shit. Yes, the inactives. Everyone's favorite game of the week. Guess the inactives. So, I do think Jordan Riley is inactive. I mean, Andre Patterson essentially said that he's going to be inactive. Now, I will say, DJ Davidson has been playing fairly well, right? At least for like a defensive tackle. So I know people want to see the young guy, but I'm not mad at Jordan Riley not being active right away. Again, we haven't seen much of a sample size to really bang on the table for him to play. My next one is going to be Javarius Owens right now. I would love for him to become active. But I think it's where he was drafted, being injured those first couple of games, never really getting out of a shot. I think with all the safeties, with them having, 5 to 6 safeties on the roster, I think that he's going to be active. So we need 3 more. Andrew Thomas is 1. None of the offensive linemen. So we got a D lineman, a safety, an offensive lineman. Flat was inactive the last game. Another running. Oh, Saquon. Saquon's inactive, I'm assuming. And then Cager. But Cager did have that wheel route versus Seahawks last year. Maybe they want to use some to get, a couple speedy tight ends. So it's between Cager or Flott for me. What is the chat saying? Who's going to be the inactive in the chat? Gary. Who we got? No, because they won't keep any offensive line. I found this rule out a couple weeks ago. If you keep 8 offensive linemen, you get an extra roster spot. So if they made an offensive lineman inactive, they just need to make another guy inactive, which I did not know that rule. Why is everyone saying Dane Belton? Belton actually got some snaps. I'm just going to say flawed. I hate to say it, but I'm going to say flawed. JC and NYC, I think DJ needs to play more aggressive, more back shoulder passes, stay in the pocket, the doorway back to the outside, and let Kayvon rush with the hand in the dirt. Now, Kayvon needs to step up. DJ actually threw probably more back shoulder passes in that 49ers game than we've ever seen him. Obviously, it was something they saw on film. Completed one to Slayton and then had the pass interference to Waller. I put the breakdown channel in the chat. Subscribe. Yeah, I kind of agree with. Now, I don't want to see a bunch of. He doesn't need to be more aggressive, right? If you guys watched the film review, and I think you guys did all 515 in here. Like the DJ's got to be more aggressive with Jalen Hyatt, and it's not simply being. It's not when I say aggressive, don't be stupid, but you got to anticipate with Jalen Hyatt. He's that type of speed. You don't have the arm talent to be late, right? Let's see. I see McFadden will step up again. I think all the back play fairly well against the Seahawks. I actually think the Giants are going to stop the run in this game. Just saying, the Giants can stop the run? Yes, against the Seahawks team, I do. One, I'm not the biggest fan of Kenneth Walker, but also they play zone, and the Giants are actually good at stopping his own run. Mike says, Bobby, why do defenses look like they can read DJ's mind? Well, the 49ers did read the offensive. They kind of baited the Giants into the stuff they like to do and then jumped on top of it. But other than that, I don't see that happen. I mean, he did have the least amount of interceptions. And let's get this fucking banner out of here. They did have the least amount of interceptions in the NFL last year, so I don't think they're reading his mind. And then this year, they've had 4 interceptions, which is really fucking annoying, but 3 of them have been off New York Giants. It's just... the truth as I know it says, not the biggest fan of Kenneth Walker. Obviously, you've never seen him play this year. I actually do, and that's why I'm not the biggest fan. I watch him on film. He makes highlight plays. To me, he's just very frustrating because he tries the bounce plays too often. Just too often. He's good. And hey, he will get guys out of gaps by doing that stuff. I think if you play a run defense that just plays their gaps responsibly, I'm just not the biggest fan. Now, again, maybe you can put him in a gap scheme and you can do some more. So I Kenneth Walker is a good back, but I think he'd be better if he wasn't. But I think he'd be better if he just didn't try and turn every play to a home run. Like, let that stuff come to you naturally. Break tackle within the hole, where I just think he spends way too much time behind the line of scrimmage. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not like, if you look at like the median, like the average view of Kenneth Walker around the NFL, which is very high, I'm a little lower. Zuko says, it's funny you went to St. Olaf, I go to Carleton. I used to take that really, now I just I probably hate St. Olaf more than you do. Kind of reminds me of what Saquon struggled with a little bit, but I think Saquon was better than Kenneth Walker the first couple of years in the NFL, which again isn't even a knock on Walker. The first 2 years of Saquon were nuts. I've seen it a little bit this year. I have. Now I think he's done a better job of baiting linebackers to get out of gaps and then hit them, but I have seen it a little bit. I love Zach Charbonnet, by the way, too. Does Danny King know he has a super fan? I think he does because he was in here last you were in here. But Danny King also probably just doesn't even realize it because that's the way Danny King is. Me and Danny recorded some man radio talking about I get it, the truth, man. You don't gotta sell me on Kenneth Walker. So me and Danny did I'm gonna put it in the chat again because I'm trying to grow this channel and get it monetized. Me and Danny talked about the first year of Talking Giants because it was me and Danny King, 2019, joining John Boy Media. That'll be out on Wednesday on that channel I just put in there. All right, so we got a few more minutes again for the Giants. I think they have to attack them down the field, and that doesn't mean necessarily throwing the ball down the field, but you have to attack them with your routes down the field and put their guys in conflict, and that's where they make mistakes. Running the ball. I've gone back and forth on this. You can't just run the ball 5 times, but I also don't want to try and get run heavy either against a good run defense with Matt Breida at running back and not a great offensive line. So you got to find some type of balance, but you can't. I don't want to get run heavy, but you can't throw the run away either. Offensive line, you can be bad. Don't be wreck the fucking game at offensive line. Darren Waller, this has to be a big game. Defensively, DK Metcalf worries me. That is Geno Smith, who he has so much confidence in when they're blitzing, right? If he doesn't care if it's tight window, he will throw the ball to DK Metcalf. If you don't get pressure, Tyler Lockett can be the go-to guy in that. So I worry about the defense versus the Seahawks offense. I think Geno's operating it very well. This is a game where Dex and Leonard need to dominate up front. Both those guys got to ball out up front and just force negative plays and turn some. Geno's only been sacked 5 times in 3 games, even though he's been pressured a decent amount. Get into that. When they get into play action, you've got to get back to your drops, which means in the run defense, which I do think they're going to stop Kenneth Walker today. Run defense, the linebackers, we don't need you to be playing a million miles an hour. Get back in your coverages because Geno is 15-15 on passes, 10 to 20 yards. So I think there's a lot. The defense seriously worries me. The offense, I have anxiety because it's just this is the game. This is the game to show who you really are. This is the game to show who you really are. Don't play legacy and perform on Monday Night Football. ESPN, Laura Rutledge picked the Giants to win. Dan Orlovsky picked the Giants to win. Ryan Clark and Marcus Spears picked the Seahawks to win. So we got an even split. So it's not a crazy thought to think the Giants could win this game or win this game. So this is a game that this is a game where this is how you got to win. You're 1-2. Do not go 1-3 about to play maybe the 2 best teams in the AFC right now in the Bills and the Dolphins. Both on the road, by the way. 1-5 will be staring you right down, just down the barrel. Get to 2-2, right? Get to 2-2. Think about all the years of losing the first 2 games of the season, which means the only times we've been 2-2, or more than 2 wins at the week 4 mark, is 2019 when Daniel Jones won his first 2 starts, got them to 2-2, and they lost 9 games in a row, and then last year. So since 2016, those are the only 2 times where after 4 games you were 2-2. So this is just a game you've got to win. Seahawks are good. They are a worthy opponent, and they're favored for a reason. But this is a game where we need DJ. We need these receivers. We need the defense to make enough plays to get them off the field and not force your offense to be perfect. Like, I don't want to have a Vikings playoff game, even though I think this could be like that. This is the game to show off these new weapons. You had the bad first half versus the Cardinals. Second half was amazing. Now you're playing a worthy opponent in the Seahawks whose pass defense isn't great. You got to go out there and win this game. All right. I know we got a lot of Matt Breida stuff. I'm not taking any Matt Breida overs until I actually see one hit. All right, I'm going to go. Appreciate you guys. If you guys want, we're going to be recording a podcast, recapping the game. Hopefully it's going to be a victory game. You'll hear that victory music tomorrow on the podcast. If you want to hear us live, patreon.com/talkgiants, $2 a month or $10 a month or $100 a month if you're fucking insane. Which, by the way, you could come on a lot. You do get to come on a live stream if you do that. But again, I would never ask anyone to do that here. So $2 a month, $10 a month, we'll be recording the podcast live. If not, no pressure either. We will have it up on YouTube at 8 a.m. On the podcast apps in the wee hours of the morning for your driven work. Subscribe to the new channel. I'm going to put it in there again. Subscribe to the new channel. The short form breakdowns are good, but I only put them on social media in the past. But because we weren't counting that as like work output, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to create a YouTube channel. So we'll see after the game. Let's win this damn game and let's go Big Blue.